let's talk about rank advancement. My name is Brian McIntosh. If you've already watched the back-end compensation video or the front-end compensation video, you understand that we're getting paid in two ways in DubLI. We're getting paid on the front end for team building, and we're getting paid on the back end from the residual commissions that come from subscriptions and shopping and travel. And one of the things that determines how much we make on our team's customer production is what position we hold in the company. And that determines on how much of that commission we can override, and it determines how much of that commission we receive based on our position. Now, we talked in the back-end compensation video about how those commissions are paid out. So I'm not going to go into that here. If you have questions about that, you can go to the back-end compensation video that is right here on the same website, and you can view it there. What I'm going to talk about is how do we get from team leader to team coordinator to sales director to vice president. And it's really simple. I love the compensation plan. Just build in teams of 3. Everything starts in DubLI at the team member position, right? Team member is the $595 position, right? Or it starts at the PPA, which is the $24.75, okay? But let's just keep it simple for now and say that everybody in our hypothetical that we're going to draw out here starts at team member. And then I'll talk to the PPA in just a second. Everything starts at team member. Once somebody has a team that has 3 team members on the first level, they're promoted to team leader. The other way to get to team leader is simply to purchase a PPA package. If you purchase a PPA package, it makes you a team leader right away. Once you've built a team that has 3 team leaders on the front level, you become a team coordinator. Once you've built a team that has 3 team coordinators, you become a sales director. And sales director, guys, is where things really begin to get good. Because once you reach the position of sales director, in order to rank advance now to vice president and beyond, you're not concerned about what's going on your front level. Because do you understand that as a team leader, you need to have 3 qualified team members on your front level. That's people that are active in the business on your first level. To get to team coordinator, you need to have 3 team leaders on your first level. And that's people that either built to team leader this way or purchased PPA packages, and that makes them a team leader by default. But in either case, you need to have 3 on your front level to get to team coordinator. To get to sales director, you need to have 3 team coordinators on your front level to get to sales director. But once you get to sales director now, you stop being concerned about front level because the compensation changes just a little bit, or the compensation plan changes just a little bit. To make vice president, all you need is 5 legs that have a sales director somewhere in them. So let's just draw this out. Let's say that this is obviously one of your sales director legs, the one we just built. But then you sponsored someone here who was a team member, but they knew somebody who became a team coordinator who eventually sponsored someone who developed into a sales director. That leg now qualifies. Let's say you personally sponsored someone over here who became a sales director all on their own. That leg now qualifies. Let's say here you sponsored somebody who quit. I don't know why they would, but let's say they did. But before they quit, they introduced somebody who became a vice president over time. Well, that's better than a sales director, so that leg now qualifies. And then let's say you sponsored somebody over here who became a team coordinator, who sponsored somebody who became a sales director, who knew somebody who was a team member, and they brought in somebody else who became a sales director. Either one of these sales director positions right here would qualify for a sales director leg. So you now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different independent organizations that have a sales director somewhere in them, and that promotes you to vice president. Now, to get to senior vice president, it's pretty much a lather, rinse, repeat of getting to vice president, but you need 5 different organizations that have a VP somewhere in them. Okay, so just like our last example, this might be your vice president, one of your vice president legs. You might have sponsored somebody here who became a sales director, like myself, who sponsored a vice president, like me, right? Like I sponsored a vice president. So that vice president leg would qualify. Maybe you sponsored somebody personally here who became a vice president over time. Maybe you sponsored somebody over here who became a team coordinator, who sponsored a sales director, who sponsored a vice president. And now that vice president leg counts. And then over here, you sponsored somebody personally who became a vice president, and that leg counts. Now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different organizations that have a vice president in them, and that makes you a senior vice president. And rank advancement is really critical because the rank advancement is what is going to determine how much of the commissionable revenue and the subscriptions that you receive from the customers generated within your team. So it's also going to make a determination of how much additional income you can receive from the front end compensation that we're going to discuss in the front end compensation video. So rank advancement in DubLI is really simple. It's not complicated at all. And once you understand it, then now what you want to do is you want to go to work building your organization structurally so that you can rank advance as rapidly as possible. And the best way to do that is just simply to build in teams of 3. I like to draw it out like this. To get to sales director, you need 3 on your front level who each have 3, Or a better way to say it would be 3 team members on your first level, 9 team members on your second level, and 27 team members on your third level. If you do that, you're a sales director, with the understanding that every PPA package counts as a team leader. So if everyone coming into your team were coming in at PPA, you wouldn't even need these 27 BAs. 9 PPA packages would be 9 team leaders on your second level, which would qualify you as sales director. And that's rank advancement.